this what we are going through right now is going to be another great equalizer, right?
Mhm.
As Warren Buffett says, when the tide rolls out, you get to see who's been swimming naked the whole time.
Mhm.
And that's happening, right? You're quickly finding out who are the posers, who are the people that weren't running their business correctly, who are the people that were just kind of, playing CEO versus being CEO, and they won't be in business. The one true rule that I can tell you beyond any other rule in business is that you can count on your competition's mediocrity. As sure as the sun's gonna rise tomorrow and set tonight, I guarantee you can count on your competition's mediocrity. It is most of your competition sucks, and they're not running the business that you think they're running. And it's in times like these where you get to figure that out real quick. So your job when it comes to these is you have a responsibility to not only, quite frankly, survive, but to thrive in markets like this, right? So when I see people, the clearest indicator is the moment that they stop marketing, right? When you have businesses that you're competing against and they stop marketing in a time like this, then right then they're not who they think they are. They don't have their numbers. They don't understand how to create customers. They don't understand how to acquire properties. They don't understand how to cultivate and nurture relationships with buyers. There's no predictable outcome that they can create. That's why they yank back on marketing, because they look at marketing as throw it up against the wall and see if it sticks. And so most of, like in my world, most of my competition has immediately pulled back on marketing. And so just to your point, by virtue of doing that, look at all the market share that I gained.
Mhm.
Right? I haven't had to do one thing except stay in the game, keep marketing, keep providing value, keep staying in front of the customers, keep in the game. And just by virtue of doing that, and my competition sucking so bad, I will gain and I will become, a leader. I will continue to be the leader. It's probably the easiest way to say it. And so imagine now if what you do is not only survive, but then you truly understand your numbers to the point where you can start doubling down. Because your efforts, not only you gaining from your competition going away, but now you're creating so much distance because you can push ahead. There won't be, you can accomplish in the next year what would probably have taken you 5 or 10 years in the past because you're competing for so much attention.
It's funny you said that, because we had a similar situation came up on a property of ours where we wanted apartments.com, one of the top listing sites, the top 3 offers that they give, and we're on the wait list. And lo and behold, when this all happened, people instantaneously cut off the marketing bucket and it became available. And my manager called me. I said, absolutely take it down, because that's a spot that you're never going to get. And now that it's available, let's spend the money. It's going to come back 10 times over, because now you're going to be at the top of the list. We've done it across the board, more direct mail, more outreach, because when someone stops and you pick up that market share, it's exponential growth. And
absolutely,
what we've been so excited about, and this is going to kick people in the teeth. And like you said, 90% of the people are going to they're not coming back, right? They're going to go do something else or figure something else out. But the 10% that hangs on, you're going to pick up so much of that competition. You're going to come out 10 times better. And, I don't want to say that, I was hoping for an event like this, because that's ridiculous. But, I always would joke around, I can't wait for the next recession, right? Because, we took the necessary steps going into it that gave us really good security to feel good. Like, okay, well, we won't buy a property this year, or maybe we only buy one. But when we come out of this, we'll be ready to go execute on that. And I think that's a super important part. When most people want to scale back and save every penny, there's the people that put their foot on the gas and they're like, no, we're going to go for the kill shot now, because now we're going to pick up where everyone else left off. So I think that was just awesome to hear.
That's just the way. Here's the again, kind of the cold hard facts. If you don't do it, somebody else will.
Yep.
Right? You have a responsibility to do it. This is your moment. This is your chance to absolutely, take advantage and be the leader. And not only do you have a responsibility in your market, you have a responsibility to your employees, your network, your families. This is a moment in time. If you didn't do this, you would be wasting it, right? And that would be very, very reckless and irresponsible.
I think that it makes so much sense that if people are going to look back and say, what could I have done? I lost opportunities, but I remember when I first started working, as a financial advisor, even into real estate, what I would always tell younger people, and, I'm only 33, but what I would tell people is that when you put the phone down and that was the end of your day, I'm making twice the amount of calls, and and you're going to hang up. My next call is going to be someone that you could have contacted by just taking that next little effort, and the opportunity that is going to be in front of us over the next X years or months, whatever it is. If you don't strike now and whatever it is, you're going to lose so much runway by guys coming in and taking that step. So I think it's really important.
And I'll give you guys this and the listeners this, because I've been asked a variation of this question, right, for years, right. I had a guy in a private mastermind a few years ago ask me, when you get to my level, why do you keep pushing, right? Why do you keep kind of going as hard as you're going? Why do you keep trying? Well, and is there fear? And my answer, I think, which would be helpful here, is that, yeah, there's still fear, of course. I mean, every single day, we're all trying to push in and do things that we're sitting like, oh man, I'm not exactly sure that this is the right thing to do. But here, and to your point on the phone calls, here's the conversation that's going on in my head that always makes me move. And it's just very simple reminder. This is where my competition will stop. This is that moment. This is the moment where they will not do the next thing that is necessary to achieve greatness. So the only thing I have to do is make a step forward. Yep. Cross the line. Keep going. Because if I do that, again, I'm counting on their mediocrity. I'm counting on them going backwards. I will always win. And that has been a very powerful thing for me to kick into that makes me just keep pushing. And I think if people did more of that, they would get a lot more out of the efforts that they're putting out in the world.
No, it's important, because I think counting on mediocrity is so true. And like you said, people look at everybody and everybody looks like, they're driving a Ferrari and they're the CEO of $1 billion company. But unfortunately, it's smoke and mirrors. And 99 or 90% of the time, their mediocrity, and if you're just a little bit better, you're gonna run laps around them. So I think that that's an awesome saying, and I cannot wait to plagiarize that from you and take it, because I truly do believe it, because it's so true that 80% of people are they're just running in place and they're going through the motions, and just because they think they're a real estate investor or whatever it is, they're happy with it, and it's important to hear that.
So what are some things that you've seen as people are building up businesses or real estate investing businesses that you think are really important to set themselves up for either to see themselves through opportunities like this or to, capture different opportunities as they arise? Is there any sort of foundational things that you've seen that have been
I think
important to most people?
Yeah, I think that, we deal with a lot of people that are kind of in that starting out phase and then ultimately into the scaling up phase, right? So I get to see it kind of from, hey, I'm starting and then once they're off and running, they're off and running. And so I think what I see a lot of people do when they come in is let's just start the very beginning. The people that are just getting into the entrepreneurial game, here's one thing I see all the time, is that they have absolutely zero conception of how hard this really is. They have this insane belief, right? I mean, the easiest analogy I can give somebody is if I called you guys up and said, hey, look, I've been watching all the YouTube videos, I've downloaded every book, and I've listened to every podcast on what it takes to be a successful MMA fighter. And I know I haven't done anything yet, but I'm ready to go to this UFC championship. Put me in, let's do this shit, let's go. But I think I can win. You guys would look at me and say, dude, you're fucking crazy. What is wrong with you, right? You can't do that. But that's the way people approach business, which is fucking insane to me. The expectation should be that, hey, man, I got to get in the ring. I got to get my ass whipped. I'm going to have to get choked out a few times. I'm going to have to get hit in the face. I'm going to get a few teeth knocked out. I'm going to get a lot of black eyes, maybe some broken bones. And then after each one of those, I'm going to go back to my coach, and my coach is going to say, do this, do this. But through that process, I'm going to learn. I'm going to grind. I'm going to understand what it takes. And over the course of a lot of time, effort and energy and continuing education, then I can ultimately maybe expect to be a champion. But anything less than that is just silly. But people come into this business and a lot of businesses and don't expect to get the hits. They don't expect to get choked out. They don't expect to get hit in the face. They don't expect the black eyes. They don't expect to have to go back to a coach and talk. They expect they can go watch a video, read a book, or listen to a podcast, and suddenly they're going to. So the biggest thing I can tell somebody starting out is you need to expect to get hit. I mean, you guys have been doing this a while. I have no doubt you have the scars to prove it, right? You haven't been right every time. You've had those sleepless nights. You've had those days where you're like, oh shit, I don't know if we did this right, or did we over leverage ourselves, or have we overcommitted? I mean, we've all been there, right? But people, because of social media and what have you, they have these very, very unrealistic expectations of what just business is, much less real estate business. And so I think if more people came in ready to get hit and looked at the hits as the good stuff, right? The struggle, like if I'm getting in there and getting my ass whipped, I look at that as, hey man, I'm learning. I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to figure out how to whip this guy's ass, right? It might take me 6 months, but I'm going to figure it out. And I'm willing to go in there and pay the price to figure it out. That's the way people should approach business is I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to get in here. I'm going to take the hits. I'm going to do what it takes, but I'm not giving up, right? I ain't going anywhere. I'm here. And so I think that is a really important component that I see a lot of people coming out. The second thing I don't think a lot of people have a healthy respect for is just the art of influence and persuasion and being able to talk to buyers and talk to sellers and talk to private money, partners and the sheer nuance of being able to communicate effectively with people is everything, quite frankly. If you can get this right, number one, and then you can apply the skills of understanding how to work, really how to listen to people, how to be empathetic, how to use, triggers to get to find out the truth and get into just real salesmanship, quite frankly. And I don't mean that in a sleazy way. I just mean it in a, this is a skill. Learning how to communicate is a skill. And if you can understand how to do that and understand how to put yourself in the mind of your prospect, again, whether that's a buyer or seller or private money lender or a banker or whoever else, but clearly understand how to do that with people, man, there's not a business that you can't be successful in. And I think that those are kind of, to your point, like those are hard foundational rocks for me. Like you got to have your head in the game correctly and you got to be able to communicate correctly. And if you can get those two things, then, from that point forward, doing multifamily deals and syndication deals to you guys is like, breathing, right? Doing wholesale deals and turnkey deals to me is like breathing. Mm-hmm. I appreciate that is not the case to everybody else that's out there, but we all know, the three of us clearly know that the actual deal part of it is about this much, right? About this much is having the balls to actually get out there and do it, right? Which is all the other stuff. The actual technical, how do I actually put this deal together? How do I evaluate this deal? How do I know that I'm going to, make money on it, create the return for my investors? That's about this much of the deal. 10%, 90% is just being able to get your head in the game, take the massive action, face your fears, overcome those fears, communicate effectively, market well, get the prospects in there, communicate over the phone, convert a lead into a deal. That's what it really is. And so I think that a lot of people need to pay closer attention to 1 and 2. And unfortunately, what they end up focusing on is 3. And my experience, 3 doesn't matter unless 1 or 2 are in place. How to do the deal, how to put it together, nobody gives a shit. You train.
It's so true because I have so many people that come to me and that they talk about, do you have a model? How do you underwrite? I'm like, that's this much, as you said. It's important to have it, but anyone can get that piece of it done, right? They're out there. They're a dime a dozen, right? There's a million deals. The country is so big. You can find it if you really want it. The question is, can you put it all together? And I think that's where people, they watch a podcast and they're like, oh, well, look, I'm going to go, flip houses. I'm going to go do this. They don't realize that 90% is not just, I'm going to press a couple buttons and I'm going to have my Excel spreadsheet spit something out and this is going to go perfectly. Because, I think it was either a Gatorade commercial or a Nike commercial, the one with Dwayne Wade, where it's like you keep falling down and you get back up. But people think that it's just all, it's straight up. And I say, it doesn't go that way. You're going to get derailed and you got to get back on the tracks and you got to know what to do, how to communicate it, how to get someone, who to call, how to help, whether it's a coach, a mentor. You got to get your train back going on the right track forward. And just finding the deal is the easy part. The hard part is executing the full transaction to the end.
Absolutely.
And that's the part where, that's where the money's made. But that's also the part that people think just because they read a book, they can do it. And that could be the case. And I'm not saying it's not, but more often than not, it takes a little bit more.
Well, I'll go one step further. I mean, we have a saying in our office that give me ignorance on fire versus knowledge on ice. And so I will take the dipshit that is willing to run through a wall and has got the right mindset and has got good communication skills, maybe not know how to necessarily do a good real estate deal just yet, but they got the drive, they have the ambition, they know, they've got the energy that it's going to take and they got the will to succeed. I'll take that person all day long over the overeducated person over here that'll be broke as shit because they'll never make a move because this isn't right. And it's that simple, right? So give me ignorance on fire versus knowledge on ice all day long. Because I can't tell you how many, and I know you guys know them too, how many really, really rich dipshits that we know out there in the world and how many really, really broke, overeducated people we know out in the world. It's just a fact.